I'm double annoyed. Make that triple annoyed, actually. I'm annoyed that Crysencio Summerville's injured. It's not taken much. I've been grumpy since that Liverpool game, truth be known. I'm annoyed with the board. In fact, almost anything. It's raining at the moment. It's the board's fault. I've had it up to there. I have had it up to there with that lot. And Somerville getting injured is just more evidence of a squad that has been left to wither on the vine under this ownership. By the way, I'm also annoyed because I've already recorded this video once and the microphone was muted. Anyway, I shared the news with Gio. We laughed about it, and we move on. Crysencio Summerville is injured. Nuno Espírito Santo revealed as much. I say normally, he's only been here 5 minutes, but learning what we have of the man so far, ordinarily, he plays his cards quite close to his chest. He's very affable. He's very pleasant. But I already feel he's thrown a couple of curveballs in pre-match press conferences, which I don't mind, by the way. If I was a manager, I'd do the same. I think I'd be outright lying to throw people off the scent, honestly. So I don't mind that. But I don't feel he's doing that here. He's normally been quite candid when people were close to fitness. He just said he's not going to make Thursday. He's got small issues. Now, minor issues, one of the two. All I hope is that it's not a hamstring injury, because that was what he had done. That's what he was operated on, if you remember. And it was the same. He actually had the same surgery that both Mikel Antonio and Saka at Arsenal had, and it was very successful. In fact, Antonio always had problems with his hamstrings up until the point where he had that surgery. And it's the same surgeon that's operated on all three of them. And then he never had that problem again, Antonio, with his hamstrings. So I'm quite hopeful on that. And I guess if it was a flare up of that, then he certainly wouldn't be saying, "Oh, it's whatever. It's something minor, something small." But it's a big loss. It's a massive loss to West Ham, and I am going to shamelessly use the opportunity to shoehorn in my reasoning for hiring Adama Traore. Basically, that will come in a little while. He's so important to West Ham, and it really shouldn't have been like this, really. But we've ended up with a manager who is pragmatic, who is defensive, and who plays counter-attacking football. And I'm happy enough with Nuno. I really am. If he rescues us from relegation, he'll have really done it. As I've said before, I never really felt that David Moyes rescued us from relegation, because I never felt in trouble anyway. We're in trouble now. If he gets us out of it, honestly, fair play to him. He deserves all the praise he can get. He's got a style of playing, but he needs a certain type of player to play that style for it to be effective. Park the bus, yes, but then counter-attack. You need quick players for that, and you need direct players. Bowen is direct. He's just not particularly quick. He's not slow, but he's not rapid, and you need rapid players. Basically, you need players with the sort of pace that stop an opposition backline from basically pushing up to the halfway line. You need to stop an opposition doing what Bournemouth did to us in the second half of that game. And Somerville does that. Somerville gives you direct running. He gives you pace. He's enough to cause a bit of worry. And I think if you don't have him, and then you've got Bowen on one side, you've got Wilson through the middle, and then whatever, you're going to play someone else out on that left, be it Fernandez or anyone else, you just forget it. The opposition could just go and play a higher line. You're not going to get in behind, and basically half your tactic's gone. You can do the defending bit, the attacking bit, forget it. Now, obviously, Guilherme's going to play. Well, I say obviously, might not be that obvious thinking about it. Could be. I don't think he'll play Kyle Walker-Peters. If he does anything, and he could choose to go with wing backs. Goes wing back, he'll play Juff left wing back, and then you don't really need a left winger. I guess he could perhaps play Urfi and maybe play Urfi next to Fernandez as a couple, something like that. I don't know. You could do something a little bit different. But assuming he's going to keep the formation, because the three at the back's not been particularly fruitful for Nuno, then it brings in Guilherme. And look, Guilherme deserves a chance. And me and Gio have just finished recording our our pre-match preview ahead of the Man United game. And I think it's a big thing. I think it's a big thing for Guilherme to have 3 games in a row. That'd be really good and really important for him. But we should never have been in this position where we were reliant on him. No way. No way. He should be a Brucey bonus, right? What the board were doing when they got rid of Kudus and didn't replace him, I've no idea. What the board are doing by allowing us to go into this season with 2 old injury-prone strikers, I have no idea. Now, make no mistake about it, everyone else will get the blame for this because everyone else always does. So for the striker, it'll be, well, you know what, Graham Potter didn't want a striker. For the lack of wingers, well, Graham Potter didn't play with wingers. You'll get an excuse for everything. Fulkrug's injury prone. Well, that was Tim Stuyton's fault, of course. You'll get all of these things being blamed at everyone else, but it doesn't matter whether it's Rob Newman, it doesn't matter whether it's Paul McCauley, Tim Stuyton, David Moyes, Lopetegui picked that Max Kilman, which he did. There's been one consistent through all this, and that's been David Sullivan has always liked to be involved in transfers. So you can't have it both ways. You can't dismiss the director of football, which he did, and then not replace him, take control of transfers yourself, and then not get the blame when you have got a lopsided, unbalanced squad, because that's what we got right now. And by the way, while we're on that subject, is everybody else gets the blame, right? You look at a situation with Somerville now. Now, I like Somerville. Somerville is a good player. I think he's very, very important to West Ham. But that was a Sullivan signing. He is injury prone. He's not. And apparently, I only found this out today, he didn't have a great injury record at Leeds either. So, you know, this is, we should never be in this situation. We need pace, and we are desperate for pace in the team. And that's why we're so desperate for Somerville, because he's realistically in an attacking scenario, attacking situation, he's the only person that offers us any. The only one. So that's not enough. And for that reason, this is why I'm going to shoehorn in Adama Traore. Look, I will say this much about Adama Traore. I like him because I like fast, aggressive football, and that's why I've always liked him. But it's not just him. I like the profile of the player, and I think he would have been really, really good under David Moyes as well. So it doesn't have to be Adama Traore. If you know somebody else, another player that's quick as pants and strong as an ox, brilliant. He'll do, right? No problem at all. I mentioned it to Gio the other day. I mentioned Leroy Sané. I thought he was really quick. He was really physical. Brilliant. You know, we're not going to get him, of course. And this is where you have to be a little bit realistic, because I don't think you are going to. A lot of people say, well, hold on, his output in terms of assists and goals is not great. Well, neither Somerville, but he's still important. He's still really important to the team because he draws players towards him. He stops the opposition attacking and he creates space. Sorry, he stops the opposition defending with a high line and he creates space for other people. There's another load of factors, which is Nuno loves him. Nuno wants him. And he's going to be cheap as chips because he's out of contract in 6 months. We're going to get him for less than the sort of loan fee that we would waste on someone like Calvin Phillips. This just makes absolute sense. And I will tell you this much. We look at that bench, and I'm assuming, let's assume he starts with Guilherme. We're going to look at that bench against Manchester United, and let's say that his tactics are working. And like in the first half, like we were 2-0 up against Bournemouth, what are you then going to do to make changes? He's got nothing on the bench, got no wingers. The strikers, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't get a striker, but we know that. We've already established that we need a striker and we need a quick one. And talking about the type of player, that's why I used to speak about Briel and Bolo. I think we really, really miss Mikel Antonio, beast mode Mikel Antonio. You've got to look for someone like that. So we need that. We need that, and somebody that can pull out wide and someone that can get in behind defences. We need more pace in the team. But I'm assuming that we're going to do, which is basically spend any money we can on a striker, a box-to-box midfielder and a central defender. I'm assuming there's not big money there for a winger. If that's the case, go and get him. Go and get him. I'll tell you this much now. It'd have made a difference against Bournemouth. It would have stopped Bournemouth. Go and look at that. Well, don't go and look at that second half again. It's disgusting, right? But they were so cocky. They were so confident. They They at one point, they were just leaving one guy back. Just one guy back in defence. And even he was stood like on the centre circle bit. They didn't need to bother. They weren't worried about us. I mean, someone like Traore on a bench stops teams playing like that. He'd have got on it. He'd have made a difference against Liverpool. There's no doubt about that at all. We just lack outright pace. And if we can do that and we can get that sorted on the cheap, then I think we should do. I absolutely do. I also think that the whole thing is a mess. The recruitment is a mess. And I'm completely fed up with just... I just wish the ownership would leave the club. That with every passing game week, you see more of the opposition. You see how good their recruitment's been. And you just come to the conclusion that we are just getting worse and worse and worse. And it's not like they've even noticed it, the ownership. You don't ever hear any rumours, there's a new director of football coming in or anything like that. They're really happy with how things are. They like doing it. These people are so far behind the times and behind the trends. It's unbelievable. So we need a complete overhaul of recruitment. But we ain't getting that now. We're not. We need something to survive. And that's why I do not mind someone like Traore coming in. I do not mind Nuno using George Mendes to get some players in. Because I think we're really crap at it. And before we do anything else, we need to try and make a squad for Nuno that is more balanced in the way that he plays. Remember that we don't have to remember that Forest team. It's still mostly there and it's still at Forest. The centre-backs, the full-backs, the midfield. I think we're all right. I'd still bring it up. I'd get rid of Rodriguez. I'd get rid of Irving. I'd still bring in another bit more energy in midfield, box-to-box midfielder, because as we see, people get injured. But I don't mind that. I do not mind. I think there's promise. They're so young as well. You know, Magassa 21, Fernandez 21, Potts 22. I like that midfield three. In many respects, that might be less urgent. I'd still do it because you don't know what's going to happen with injuries. But the wingers and the striker, get him the sort of team and the sort of players that allowed him to thrive, not just at Nottingham Forest, but at Wolves as well. You need pacey, quick players on the counter-attack. We need more. And we are slow, dog slow. And for that reason, we're going to massively miss Crysencio Summerville against Manchester United. They are. I'm not going to say they're there for the taking. I wouldn't say that. They're better than us this season. They're better than they were last season. But if we were going to do anything, it's on the counter-attack. Soak up the pressure, attack. Soak up the pressure, attack. At the moment, we're just soaking up pressure, more pressure, more pressure, more pressure. And Gio said something in the build-up show, in the preview. He said he really didn't like the last three halves of football we've had under Nuno. I like that. And it's really important to view it like that. The second half against Bournemouth and then what we just seen at Liverpool. And we're offering no threat. Everyone will have their own opinions for what went wrong. And obviously, going down to 10 men didn't help. But not like we were good before that. I don't want to let Lucas Paquetá off the hook, far from it. But we weren't great before that. Let's be fair. So yeah, we're gonna miss Somerville. There's nothing we can do about it. So Guilherme's going to get his chance, and I'm pleased for that. And I think, as I mentioned this in the preview, we're seeing the best of Todibo now because he's playing more games. And I think this is the case that you're seeing the same with Wilson as well. This will be the case with Guilherme. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to get there and think, oh, well, Guilherme, he'll do now. We don't need to bring in another winger. We do. We need depth. We still need to bring in another winger, just in the same way that even if Wilson scored again, we still need to bring in a striker. We cannot rely on him. I'm chuffed he's remained as fit as he has, but you have to think at some point he is going to break down him and what he's going to do. Fulkrug, well, he don't want to be here anyway, and he's even more injury prone than Wilson. How about that? You wouldn't have thought it, would you? West Ham could find a striker who was more injury prone than Callum Wilson. We got one. It's Nicholas Fulkrug. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. You're probably not liking my Adama Traore, but I think I've made the case for us signing him. I think he suits Nuno. Nuno would like him. I think he improves our bench immeasurably, and I think he's cheap.